My name's Craig.
Hello, I'm Karen from Bonaccord.
I'm Richard from Fentimans.
And I'm Claire from Walter Baker's Tonic.
God bless you for coming to a tonic talk, but there is gin, so don't fret, that's very good. We were just going to do a wee chat. I was going to do a little bit about the history of tonic, where it comes from, and then we're going to chat a little bit about each of our beloved brands, if that makes sense, and if there's any questions and stuff as well. Like the fact that there are 4 tonic people here is pretty mental. Like when I was bartending in Edinburgh 20 years ago, if you had 4 gins, you were a gin bar at that point, because that's all there was out there. Now you have a choice of that many tonics, if not more so. So does everyone know, obviously you're at a gin festival, so you probably all know a lot about tonic already, but does everyone know the origins of tonic, why it began? Anti-malaria, exactly that. So this is a bit of bark that you can't see because you're miles away, but it's essentially gin was taken, pretty much everything behind your bar started as a medicine, apart from rum. Rum's always been a party drink, but everything had medicinal benefits. And tonic was the same. So people were drinking juniper spirits because they believed it washed out the kidneys and the blood, because juniper is a diuretic. Gin doesn't do that. However, it makes you feel very well very quickly. And tonic came about. So malaria has been with us since we trod the earth essentially, but we didn't have a cure until the 1600s. We actually didn't know it was the mosquitoes until just over 100 years ago. So we had the cure for 300 years and didn't realise that little pesky midgie that was actually causing the problems. And it was obviously a Scotsman that realised that, because as midgie specialists we sort of sussed it out pretty quick. A guy called Ronald Ross and Mortney. But it was a terrible thing. They reckon half the people that have ever lived died of malaria. That sounds like one of those sweeping statements they make on history programmes, because that's a lot of digging up the dead people to check, I suspect. But it's a terrible thing that we are getting better at, but it's still there. But we found the cure there's a bark of a tree up a mountain in South America. Now, South America probably didn't have malaria until we took it down our bloodstream. That's very kind of us. This tree, has anyone ever heard the sort of old wives' tale that if you get muscle cramps at night, if you drink a bottle of tonic? So that's not actually a wives' tale, that's actually true. So it is a muscle relaxant. So the Indians, the local Indians would chew this bark if they had a fever, and it would stop them shaking. So a monk, a Jesuit monk called Agostino, he decided that he would try to apply this terrible thing called malaria, and it worked. Now, it wasn't the same thing that stopped you shivering, but there's quite a few active ingredients in there, but quinine being the most important one for this. So this bark pretty much changed the world. For good or bad, Britain never had an empire without this bark. I don't know if you've ever read Heart of Darkness by Conrad. As soon as they're getting off the boat, they're pretty much dying with malaria. If you don't have this, you are not coming back out alive. So it was very, very important politically, for trade, and also for war. More people died of malaria in the Pacific than they actually died in combat. And Churchill said that he believed gin and tonic saved more lives than doctors. Churchill would say that, though, obviously, but it went through. So this is how you took it. So the way you take it, the bark's actually harvested. Now, I'm of a generation, if you loved a girl, you would carve her name into a tree. When you tell that to young people nowadays, they look at you like you're a psychopath. But that was something we did. But I'm sure you're all aware, when you take the bark off, it doesn't grow back quite as well. So it's the same when you harvest the bark. So this is bark that we use from the Congo. It's 11% quinine in that. It's very, very high. It's very rich. But every time you harvest the bark, you get less and less and less. But if you're an unscrupulous seller of bark around the world, you'd never tell them it's the 3rd or 4th or 5th time harvested. So it led to the problem we didn't know how pure it was. And if you take too much of it, you can actually poison yourself again. So you're feeling poorly anyway because you got malaria, and now you don't know how much to change. So the bark was a problem, and it was how we took it. So the first gin and tonic, this beautiful, attractive looking thing here, is essentially that. The way you get the medicinal effects out of it, it's not really water soluble. It likes booze, like us. That's why we're here. It likes gin, particularly. So you'd soak the bark for about a week, and then you'd drink a glass of that, and that would stop you getting malaria. And that's how the first gin and tonic started. That changed in the 1820s. This is always bad to do on camera because it looks really dodgy. So this is quinine. So, I was once in a bar in Nottingham, and the police actually walked in as I was doing that and that. You won't believe what I do for a living. This is not, I think I know what you do for a living, but no, this way. So, yeah. So this is quinine. So what this is, in the 1800s, we stopped taking plants for medicine. We isolated the ingredients that we actually wanted to make us better. So that happened with morphine, and 2 French gentlemen actually isolated the active part of it, and that changed it for the better, because we could check this for purity, which meant we knew exactly how much to take, and it was now water soluble. And this is when the gin and tonic actually came about. So around the world, we were drinking gin anyway, and soda was a big thing. Soda, I don't know if you know, bubbles were invented in Leeds, another great British invention. If you ever got off a train in Leeds, there's a big sort of posh square, and there's a little church looking quite out of place called Millhouse. And it was a vicar called Joseph Priestley, and he invented carbonation essentially. So Yorkshire is very famous for beer. And have you all been to a brewery or distillery? when you go, they play a trick on you. So when it's brewing, think of it like the world's biggest pint, about the size of this room. They get you to stick your head in there, but there's no oxygen, and it's like you've been punched in the face. I've actually seen someone faint once, but they fell back, not forwards, which was good. But there's not air in there. So what he did, Joseph Priestley took 2 glasses of water, and he held them in the CO2, poured them back and forth, and when he took them out, that was the world's first soda stream, essentially. And because he's a man of God, he shared that knowledge, and soda became, again, medicinal effects, but it was just bubbly and fun. And that's how we started drinking our booze. And then we could add the quinine, we can add the soda, we can add the gin, and hey presto, the gin and tonic was born. And tonic not only saved, it is still medicinal. I don't know about your quinine contents, but about 10 bottles a day will stop you getting, that's enough quinine in ours to actually stop you getting malaria. So if you take the gin with that, you won't care about malaria either. It goes through as well. It's also what makes your drink shine and be all blue. And that was the gin and tonic. And the tonic sort of, gin has everyone heard about Mother's Ruin? And gin doesn't make you cry, whiskey doesn't make you fight, tequila does not make you dance on the table at 56 North, which is apparently was happening last night. Gin is gin, but it had a bit of a bad image, and then the tonic part of it made it very respectable, and people brought it back to Blighty, and then in about the 1900s, gin and tonic became a very sort of well-to-do drink across here and then across the world. And then nothing really happened for about 100 years. And then we have the gin renaissance. So I was a bartender in Edinburgh when that was all sort of kicking off. So we had Hendricks and Miller's and Tanqueray 10 sort of came to the fore. And one of the brands that sort of came back was Plymouth. So the guy that I worked for, Charles, who started Fever Tree, he owned Plymouth. And he took it from pretty much as cheap as it could be made back to it, brought its history back, making it as well as he could, put it back at the naval strength and all that sort of stuff as well. And that got bought by a bigger company, and he had a bit of money in his pocket, and Charles is obsessed by flavour, and he likes to fly. He's got his own wee plane that pops around in, and that's pretty much how he gets about, as you would if you had. But he's obsessed with flavour. So my other boss, Tim, went to see him in 2003 and said, look, gin's come back in a big way. I'd like to do a gin with you. And Charles is I've kind of done gin, to be honest. But they were chatting away about one thing that always stuck in his head. When they do gin tastings, as you will today, you try all the different flavours, they're amazing. You can see, it's so good. Like gin, when you taste wine, those flavours aren't really in there. Does that make sense? It's a chemical reaction, it reminds me. With gin, it's actually in there. So you can smell it, which is great. But you see all the different flavours, and you can tell the difference from them. And then you make martinis with them, and you can tell all the gins, and you get the different qualities and the different things they have. And then they'd make gin and tonics. And not really anyone could really tell a difference because the tonic wasn't a good enough partner. So he just said, why isn't tonic as good as gin? And this was in 2003. And so they spent the next year and a half putting together a tonic that hopefully would be as good as the gin. And that's how Fever Tree was born. So 2005 we came out and everyone said, why would you want another tonic? Like that seems ridiculous. We've got Schweppes, we've got Britvic. There's no need for anything else. But as you can see now, we've all got tonics and things are going very well. And it's people like yourself. There's a big wide world of gin out there, and you want the best partner for it. So the ice is important, the garnish is important, and the tonic's important. And that's kind of how we came about. So we were the first tonic for quite a long time outside of the home brands and supermarkets and stuff like that as well. And from that little beginnings, there's certain countries in the world where we're out selling Schweppes now, which is fantastic because of people like you that actually give a shit about what they're putting in their glass, if that makes sense. And that's how it sort of came about. So we've got 11 flavours now. Every year Charles finds something else that he wants to put inside a flavour. So you're drinking the classic Indian tonic, so there's 8 botanicals in that. But the way we look at it is we're a mixer company. It's not a soft drink, it's a mixer. And our job is to make, there's no gin there, ironically, in the room, but our job, gin is Batman, we're Robin. Our job is to back him up, make him look good and not steal the limelight, but be the best Robin we possibly can. And that's how we sort of go about it. So it's all natural ingredients, we source it all ourselves, we put it together ourselves, and it's mineral water, because that's quite important as well anyway. That most of it is water, so it's water from Derbyshire. We used to be allowed to say what water brand came out of there, but I think we got sued or something, I'm not allowed to say anymore. But if you catch me in the bar, I'll probably tell you. And that's probably kind of it. Is there any sort of questions for me before I pass you on? You happy? Who's next?
So, I'm Richard from Fentimans. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Fentimans, just a couple of minutes, and then tell you how our tonic water came about. So, Thomas Fentiman was an iron puddler from Cleckheaton near Leeds, and we think he was probably down the pub one day, and he gave a fellow businessman a loan. We're not sure how much the loan was. It could have been 20 quid, it could have been 100 quid, but the collateral against this loan was a recipe for botanically brewed ginger beer. The loan never got repaid, So consequently, Thomas Fenton became the owner of this ginger beer recipe. Being a tight Yorkshireman, he said, I'm not going to let that sit in a drawer, and he started making this ginger beer. We went from there, basically. The company started distributing all around the northeast of England, based Middlesbrough, Gateshead, Newcastle. We were distributed by horse and cart, and it was all going very well until about the 60s, when the company fell into a little bit of disrepair and the factories closed their doors. What happened then, in the late 90s, the great-grandson of Thomas Fenton, a chap called Eldon Robson, found the recipe. He was cleaning out his, I think it was his great-aunt's belongings after she died. Found this recipe for botanically brewed ginger beer and said, right, I'm going to try and make this again. So he's in his garage, he's got buckets on the floor, he's making a mess, and it didn't go well for him at the start. So he had to call on his Uncle Arthur, who used to work in the factory. Uncle Arthur came along, told him he was doing it all completely wrong, and they finally got sorted with this ginger beer recipe. Move on a few years, the company's making lemonade, we're making ginger beer, primarily a soft drinks company. So then you think, how do we end up making a tonic water? We actually have to thank Famous Grouse for this one. So they got in touch with us. We've got a ginger beer, goes fantastically with a whiskey. They wanted to do a gift pack. Now you see these at Christmas time at the end of the supermarket aisles, you know, whether it's a gin and tonic gift pack or a whiskey and ginger beer gift pack. They said, let's make these gift packs together. Great. We were just a little company at the time. So we invested a load of money in bottles. You know, let's buy 500,000 bottles, custom design, all the rest of it. And at the last minute, Famous Grouse turned around and said, no, you're all right, cheers guys. So we were stuck then with 500,000 bottles. What should we do? And Fever Tree, very kindly a couple of years previously, had gone, oh, let's make some great tonic water.
Very welcome.
And so we went, oh, we could do that as well. So that's how our tonic water was born. Our standard tonic is brewed with 5 botanicals. We've got a lot of lemongrass in there, a lot of kaffir lime leaves in there, which is quite a citrusy tonic. So if you're picking a gin that would go well with it, it's probably going to be a juniper-led gin, a very dry gin, a London dry gin, because this can add quite a bit of flavour to it, and they will pair together quite well. So you've got the same gin there. I think it's Pickering's that we're serving with today. Try it with Fenton's tonic, see what you think, and compare and contrast. So there we go. That's any questions on Fenton's? So whoever's next.
It's the stream will tell us.
Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about 1724. You'll have to bear with me a little bit because the brand ambassador himself put his back out. So I have information on the tonic, but you may have to bear with me a wee bit. So the idea behind 1724 is this super premium tonic water. So the concentration that sort of is put into the tonic water is all about the quinine. So the quinine is prevalent in all tonic waters. The reason why it's named 1724 is the quinine comes from Peru. It's mined on the Inca Trail. So it's 1,724 meters above sea level, not a meter above and not a meter below. The idea behind the brand is all about precision. It's about the balance of flavour. So the quinine really comes forward in this, and that's sort of the concentration of the brand. It's designed to go very well with gin. Most gin is drunk with tonic, so that's the idea behind it. But it's also made to go with a variance of different spirits as well. So the idea is to allow the tonic water itself to bring out the characteristics of a wide array of spirits. It goes very well with cachaça, which is a rum from Brazil, and it also goes very well with vodka. One of the other main points of it is that it's not as highly carbonated. So they use a distribution of bubbles, which is very much like champagne. So what you'll find is whenever you taste it, as a contrast, is that the bubbles are smaller and more dispersed. So what you'll get is the gin that comes through, it allows the flavours and the botanicals within anything that it's mixed to go a bit more forward. That's most of the information I have for you, unfortunately. It is a very super premium tonic, so it is at a higher price point because everything that goes into it is done very, very well. It's all about the precision and the cleanliness of flavours. So give it a try and I hope you enjoy it.
Well, it's thanks to Fentimans, Fevertree and then Fentimans and then 1724 that we're here. I'm Claire from Summerhouse Drinks. We're based up near Fraserburgh, just about an hour and a half north of Aberdeen. And Walter was the Victorian minister in our parish, and we grow some of the botanics in his own garden. But before we get to Walter, I don't know if anybody has this habit, but when we go out, my husband drives there and I drive back. We share the driving. And I was getting completely fed up with having to drink Iron Brew, Coke, whatever on a night out, and really wanted something a bit more natural. I'm a bit obsessed with artificial sweeteners. I won't bore you with that today. There might be a few people here with a hangover that's had a bit of an Iron Brew before they came, so that's allowed. But basically I got a soda stream. I did actually buy a soda stream and started playing about with ingredients that we grow in what is Walter's old garden. And our hint of mint lemonade was going so well with gin that we started thinking about making a tonic. And Walter's tonic, as I say, we grow some of the botanics in his old garden. He was a Victorian minister, so when everybody was out in the Empire drinking gin and tonic and not getting malaria, Walter was probably bitten to death by midges in his garden. We don't have as many midges on the east coast as what we do on the west coast, so it's a bit more windy. The wind either comes from the Arctic or Siberia, so we have a really big wall around our garden. And he goes particularly well with coastal and botanical gins. So we're not saying that Walter goes with every every gin. He would probably go more with Pickering's new 1947 gin as opposed to the one that you've got. But he does have more of a coastal feel. You can actually see the North Sea and where the Moray Firth meets the North Sea from his garden. So people pick up a lot of seasidey type feeling from him. Hence he goes well with Rock Rose from Dunnet Bay, Isle of Harris, the Botanist as well from Islay, anything that's got a bit of sea buckthorn or seaweed in there, which is quite on trend at the moment. So when we launched this last year, we found that some of the feedback we were getting that he was a bit too complex. He's a kind of complex kind of guy. He's a minister who's selling gin. There's a lot of things going on there, And so we have been asked by the Balmoral Hotel on Princess Street to do a bespoke tonic for them, to go with their wider range of more less boutique gins, so Tanqueray 10, Gordon's, Bombay Sapphire, that type of thing. So that went into them about 3 weeks ago, and it's the first time it has been seen this weekend outside of the Balmoral Hotel. So we're really proud of this one as well. As I say, we're quite a small batch. My husband is also my accountant, which means that we're very lucky not to be divorced at times. So please buy some of our tonics. That's my sales pitch. And it should be coming out to you. If you got it, right, pass.
Just so cute.
You can enjoy it on its own. I know it's a gin festival. I'm not encouraging you to drink.
Karen from Bonaccord Soft Drinks. So Bonaccord was originally set up by my great-great-grandfather over 100 years ago. So I don't know, depending on your age and where you're from, you may or may not remember that. See them nodding, it's good. So back then, if you didn't know, Bonaccord delivered fizzy soft drinks and cordials on the Bonaccord branded lorries direct to homes across Scotland. They stopped manufacturing around about the year 2000, and over the last 18 months I've been busy rebranding the business. I've got over 10 years experience in the food and drinks industry in Scotland, and we launched on Tuesday, so 5 or 6 days old. So our initial range that we've launched with is a cloud lemonade, a rhubarb and a tonic water, all made in Scotland. Our cloud lemonade and rhubarb contain no artificial sweeteners or refined sugars. They're all sweetened with natural ingredients, so there's honey, coconut nectar, fruit juice and just natural flavourings in there. And our tonic, which maybe you guys here are more interested in, is quite subtle, lightly sparkling, quite refreshing. And it's kind of what Claire was saying about yours being complex. I think ours is probably the opposite, and it's quite light, and it's designed that way to go well with a lot of the gins in the market. So it really lets the flavour of the gin come through rather than kind of masking the gin. So yeah, just absolutely delighted that we finally got here, because it's been a bit of a long road, as all you guys I'm sure will be aware as well. So in terms of what we're up to, so we're here this weekend. We've got it was World Gin Day yesterday, and Sign Bar in the West End are doing a perfect serve gin and tonic with our tonic water and Edinburgh gin, standard gin. We're doing the Highland Show in a couple of weeks' time, and we've got listings with Vino Wines in Edinburgh and the Counter coffee boxes, and we're just kind of working on additional routes to market and getting our product out there. So I hope you enjoy trying it. And we're up kind of upstairs today, so either come and try our other drinks, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. So thank you.
Still doing the videos.
Yeah.